Thank you so much for talking to me. Can I ask, can you introduce yourself and tell me what year of vet school are you in?
Okay, so my name's Evelyn and I'm in second year at Edinburgh University.
Can you remember how old were you when you first thought about being a vet?
I think I'd thought about it when I was really, really little, like sort of 4-ish, and then forgot about it for a bit. And then when I was 14, I sort of decided that's what I wanted to do, really.
Do you remember what prompted you to think about becoming a vet? Was there anything in particular?
I did a lot of horsey stuff when I was little, and I've spent a ton of time on a yard, and someone just sort of said to me, "You're spending a lot of time here. What do you think about maybe being a vet? Have you thought about it?" And then I did some stuff with dairy and decided it was good, I guess.
Yeah. Before you went to vet school, what did you imagine that being a vet would be like?
I don't know. I think I didn't quite gauge how much you had to learn necessarily, maybe, or the sort of variety that went into it and how much science there was as well. I kind of thought you'd go and learn about disease stuff straight away without getting a sort of foundation of things, and yeah, it's definitely not what I expected, but enjoying it so far, I guess.
So say a little bit more about what you expected and what the actual differences are. Give me some examples.
I don't know, I guess I thought I had this sort of vision of like straight away you'd be in with like a stethoscope, sort of, you know, taking heart rates and blood pressures, and like I thought it would be really clinical straight away or really practical. I didn't really fully gauge that you have to have a whole baseline understanding of things first. So like we did a load of cell biology in the first term and histology and anatomy as well, just to sort of get a really good baseline of things. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really consider that, so when we did start doing it, I was a bit like, wow, this is a lot of information, but yeah.
Can you talk about vets that you've met already or worked with when you're doing work experience, and if they stand out, why they stand out in your memory?
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple I'd say. I worked in an ophthalmologist for a bit as sort of a receptionist / someone who'd hold dogs and fetch things, and it was this lady called Anne-Marie who'd just she'd set it up a couple of years ago. It was like a specialist referral, and she had her certificate in ophthalmology, I can't remember what it was called exactly, but she had a sort of older guy working for her as well who was training her at the same time, and she did a load of specialist surgeries, and her like sort of running her own small business and doing quite specialist stuff. I just find that really inspiring, and I felt really, really lucky that she let me sort of in on a lot of things, because the practice was really small. There were like 2 vets, 1 vet nurse on, so I got to do a lot of standing in surgery and running about and stuff that you probably wouldn't do in like a bigger practice, which I was really grateful for. And then my family holiday on Tyree every year pretty much, and there's a vet there who's like do you know what? Yeah. No. She sort of, I think her name was Anne as well, maybe, but she lives on the island, and like every animal on the island is her responsibility, really, and she knows everyone. She does a lot of extra stuff as well, like buying in cow tags, because there's not really agricultural services there because it's a really small place. And yeah, just sort of going around with her for the week and seeing all the different things she got up to, because she had to do absolutely everything. Mm-hmm. And she was running a business as well at the same time, so talking to her about that was really interesting as well.
What other kinds of experience did you gather before you applied to vet school?
So I had a lot of horse stuff already. I did 2 loads of dairy placements, or like one of them I worked, I think it was every second Sunday on a dairy in Aberdeenshire until it closed down. And then I went to Ireland for a month, right to Cork in Clonakilty, and I did a month there, like living with a family and working on their dairy farm as well. So I was down in Cork for a month as well doing that. I'm trying to think what else. I did a week at World Horse Welfare, because I did a lot of horsey stuff and then I didn't really do it for a couple of years, so I went to World Horse Welfare for a week to just sort of rejuvenate it, I guess, a bit. I did a bit of stuff in mixed practice. I did Thursday nights for a bit in like my dog's vet in Aberdeen, just to sort of see what was going on, and then I had the ophthalmology place as well. And I think that's it.
So quite a lot. So
yeah.
quite a lot of varied experience.
Mm-hmm.
Did you do anything that was non-vet related? Did you have a Saturday job or did you?
So I took a gap year before I went to uni, and in that year I worked in a cafe for a bit, or sort of from like October time to January time, and then over the Christmas holidays I worked as a receptionist in the ophthalmologist as like Christmas cover. And then I actually got a job with Test and Trace on like a mobile testing unit for COVID for, I think it was like 6-7 months-ish as well. And that was really interesting because it was a really diverse team of people, because like I was the youngest, the oldest was like a 75-year-old like retired fireman. So getting to work with such a varied group of people, I think taught me a lot about teamwork and different personalities and stuff like that.
What else do you think you learnt from, doing those kinds of jobs as opposed to the animal experience stuff?
I think the cafe definitely taught me a lot about customer service and organising things and running about, because it was quite a small place and there was usually only 2 staff on, and you were doing like the coffees and lunch and everything, so that taught me a lot of organisation. I felt really grateful to be a receptionist in the vet practice for a little bit, because like, learning all the systems and taking phone calls and sort of the general day-to-day stuff I think really helped out as well. And then the testing unit, like working as part of a team, that taught me a lot about that. And yeah, just like general having a job, I guess. That sounds really stupid, but just like having a actual proper job with like, I've got a pension now, which is just mad to me. But yeah, just sort of I learned a lot about myself and how I work and dealing with different sorts of people.
So you come from the northeast of Scotland.
Yes.
Originally. What kind of vet are you hoping to be?
I think I've got an interest in sort of farm or larger animals at the moment, so hopefully that, but I think I'd probably start off in a mixed practice and then sort of see how I go, do a bit of everything and then see what I think.
Can you share any challenges or obstacles you've faced so far at vet school and how you've overcome them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'd say when you first sort of arrive, you don't really know what you're in for in terms of the workload or work-life balance, or just like trying to deal with everything, because I think for me, when I first got there and there's a lot to sort of take in at once, so the first couple of months were quite chaotic because you're trying to sort of make friends and go out and find things to do and try and work. And it's not like, I guess most people who were living in my flat, their courses were kind of like slowly got intense, whereas ours was a bit more like bam, there you go. So I guess learning how I learn and the best ways to sort of keep on top of things took a bit of working towards, but I'd say by Christmas I'd sort of settled in a bit more. And I guess finding activities and things to do as well to keep me busy. I've not quite mastered that yet, but I'm hoping to sort of find something I can do as well a bit more regularly. And yeah, I guess finding out who your friends are as well, or sort of finding your people, I guess, because I went through a few friendship groups before I kind of find people that I really got on with. And yeah, it's just a lot to sort of have it thrown at yourself at once. But
and it's worth saying, you referenced it, but the timetable for vet right from week one is lots of lectures and lots of practicals, and it's a busy timetable most days. In comparison to other degrees, we've got fewer timetabled hours, and might only have 1 hour a day or a couple of hours on other days, and that's really, as you say, it's sort of in with both feet from week one, isn't it, in first year? What attributes do you think make great vets?
I think you need to, one of the things I always said when we got asked in interviews for uni is you need to be able to sort of admit you're wrong and like collaborate with other people. Like if you sort of go in with like I'm right about this, and you know, like you won't necessarily do the best job possible. So in terms of collaborating and being able to say like, look, this is kind of all I can do with this, and hand it over to someone else, I think that's quite important. I think patience as well, because obviously it's quite a difficult job. You're working quite long hours, and sort of a general patience and appreciation for animals, and like a real passion that that's actually what you want to do, I think is really important as well. And then being able to communicate well with people, because obviously the owners are the people you're actually speaking to, because you can't speak to the animals. So.
Have you encountered any situations where resilience has played a role so far being at vet school? And can you give us an example?
I'd say like home life can be quite difficult at times, and trying to sort of deal with that and support people there when you're not there, and then try and keep yourself like sort of afloat and working, and it's quite difficult to do. And yeah, just sort of trying to balance everything and support people you feel like you need to support, and keep yourself on your sort of track as well. I think I did a lot of that in first year, like sort of the first term, trying to sort of compartmentalise and yeah, I don't know.
Put yourself on the track.
Yeah.
If you were a teenager today considering veterinary as a career, what would you say to them in terms of things that they might consider doing before applying to vet school?
Mm-hmm. I'd say get as much experience as you can, like sort of put yourself out there and really try and go into lots of different places, just to see, like, not to like tick the boxes that the vet school give you, like you must do this week of this and this week of this, but to actually see if you enjoy it and see if it's something that you do want to do. Because I think that's what really cemented to me anyway when I did my experience. Like I kept on sort of doing things and I was like, okay, I like this, I like that, this is quite good, like, and that sort of cemented to me that that's what I wanted to do. I'd say talk to people as well, like sort of through my experience that I did before uni, sort of building connections with people was really helpful as well, and hearing from them and what they thought. If you can get in touch with a student sort of a couple of years above or something who can let you know what's going on, or just give you some advice generally, so you sort of know what you're in for. And yeah.
And what would be your top tips for somebody that wanted to go to vet school? What would be your top tips for them coming in as a new student?
I'd say be sort of open to it from the start. Work hardish, but also please do have fun and sort of go out and find your people, and yeah, like try and find that work-life balance if you can pretty quickly, and just sort of settle yourself, put yourself first as well, in terms of, you know, just like making sure you're okay before you go off and do loads of hectic things.
It's a good three.
Yeah.
They run a parent and grandparent system in Edinburgh, don't they, where when you come in as a new vet, can you just explain a little bit about that to us? So
you sort of, when you first come in, we got in first year like this sort of big form of people, and we got to pick out, you can either get adopted, so there's a few nights in Freshers Week where you can get adopted by second years, or you like fill out a form with families you'd like to be in. And then we have sort of like a family initiation night in November time, I think it is, where you sort of all get together, the freshers do some challenges and stuff like that, and then we all go out, and that's sort of like a support system. So with my family this year, we had them round for dinner before, and then we took them to the pub. We just sort of answered all their questions, gave them general advice that we could think of that we wish we'd had in first year. And then, like, you've got to hand in lab books and stuff, so we gave over our lab books to sort of help them out. And I think that's the thing that happens every year, people sort of pass their lab books down, and then you've sort of got that support the whole time you're in vet school, because you've got people in the year above that were your parents who can then hand down knowledge from their year, and it just sort of continues like that, which is quite nice.
So that's a really, you know, as you say, it's your vet family, really, isn't it? It's the year above you are your parents, in inverted commas. Year above that are your grandparents.
Yeah, and then great.
And so, you know, my oldest daughter went in 2016 to vet school, and I know that her notes are still being used. Now by people that are coming in as first year, so that sort of support system, so you have a sense of what work's required, what's expected of your lab books or the work you're submitting is, you know, other years of students help you out, don't they? And they can
which is really nice.
Thank you so